Well, that's it for AM Business this week. Remember, it's brought to us courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Join us next week, Wednesday, for another package. Well, rude awakening. That's how many people have described what we've seen happening in Kasoa with regards the 10-year-old boy who was killed by two others, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. They were in court yesterday. It's generated a lot of conversations. Some people have also said that what has happened is a reflection of a deeper societal problem. We want to have a conversation on the back of this. And my guest on Zoom, I want to say good morning to you, Bobby Benson. There you are. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Bobby is a lawyer. Also joining us is Mr. Ken Ashigbe. He's former MD, Graphic Communications, and CEO of Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications Group. Good morning to you as well, Mr. Ashigbe.
Good morning.
Okay, great.
Good morning.
All right. So I want us to, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba spent the day yesterday in Kasoa and bringing us the various angles to the story. I want us to properly appreciate it, and then we'll come back and have a conversation. But former President John Agyekum Kufuor is urging authorities to clamp down on activities of fraudulent traditional priests using the media to propagate a get-rich-quick message. His comments come on the back of the alleged killing of a 10-year-old boy by two teenagers at Kasoa for money rituals. We'll hear from the former president shortly, but first, a report by Maxwell Agbagba.
Gather some meters away from the crime scene, an uncompleted building very close to the residence of one of the suspects and 100 meters away from the home of the 10-year-old boy who was killed. This uncompleted building here is the crime scene where the incident itself happened. Now, according to a charge sheet from the police, the suspects actually used concrete blocks, and that we're told they used to hit the deceased many times. We also told that they used a club, and the club which was taken from an axe is still here. So here you see the shallow grave, which is here, which was allegedly dug by the two suspects, and then the concrete blocks, we're told, they used in hitting the head of the deceased many times. I've been interacting with uncle of the deceased.
So we are appealing to the government to come to our aid for what has just happened to our sister and her child. In fact, the children are calling themselves as juvenile, but they are old. If they can do,
how did you know they are old?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes, that day here, one was telling Nicholas was saying he's 19 years, and Anani's father confirmed Anani is 18 years. So I don't see this morning. I've heard that they are saying the children are 15, 16 years. They are not 15, 16 years. They are 18 and 19 years. Okay. So a legal action must be taken against them.
Okay, I've seen the charge sheet. One of them on the charge sheet stated that it's 18, and the other, they said 16 years.
Yeah.
But you, the family, so aggrieved about this, and we've heard threats that if they are released by the police and justice is not served, you pick matters into your own hands.
No two ways about that. No two ways about that. No two ways about that. Because my sister is staying with them here, closely to them. He has been doing better things to them. So I don't see the reason why this dirty thing should be done against my sister. So the Nicholas' father, who did the marvelous job, his younger son, junior brother to Nicholas, came and reported the case to his father by saying, I've seen my brother and his colleague doing something to Ishmael as far as this uncompleted is concerned. So the father immediately waked up. He came to the room, then he saw blood with blocks. He started digging the hole which was already dug by those guys who killed the child. This is the hole which they dug. And according to them, they've already finished digging the hole before killing the boy. You see, so they buried him, and the father who came and found the boy buried saw the hand of the boy, so he shouted, and people came and helped him before they saw it clearly that it was Ishmael, my sister's son. So they brought him out, lying here, where we are here now.
Okay.
So Ishmael, so you can see behind this, my sister, the blood.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the blood. So the father, they brought Ishmael out from the place where they buried him outside here. So before I came, so when I came and met my sister's son lying here. So about 10-15 minutes time, then the peace officers came. There they came and took the corpse as well as those two notorious boys.
What kind of boy was the deceased? What kind of person?
Yeah, Ishmael is a very good boy. Yeah, and he has friends. And you see, living within your colleagues, you can never tell your son or your daughter not to have friends. You see, because maybe you, the parents of the boy, may not be at home. Something may happen to the boy because you've told him or you've warned people not to be close to your son or your daughter. No, nobody can do something to you. So he's very free with everybody here. And you see, and the boy by the name Anani and his younger brothers, they've been going to my sister, helping them, food and everything.
What class was Ishmael?
Ishmael is in class 4.
Class 4.
Yeah.
Which school?
No, the school is at Kasoa itself, because my sister sells food at Kasoa market. So the children are schooling closer to the place where my sister is doing her business.
A lot of people have described him as an intelligent child.
Of course, he's very, very intelligent. Even when he was called, he was in the room going through his laptop when they came for him. And he left before they came and did this job to him. So it's very, very bad.
Okay.
It's very, very, very bad. So we are again appealing to the government that we'll be very happy if we hear that they've taken the boy to maybe life imprisonment or something like that. We'll be very, very happy. But we are still doing our investigation. When I hear that they've sent the boys to maybe Abofraboni or something like that, it will pain me. It will pain me because the legal action we are expecting for the government to take against those boys hasn't been taken.
Aggrieved family members and friends of the deceased are gathered here, waiting for the body to arrive for burial. Some of them we've been speaking to here describe 10-year-old Ishmael as a very intelligent child. Many of them have been eulogizing him. I've been speaking to another uncle of Ishmael. His name is Alhassan Akele, and he has more to say about the deceased.
Very, very intelligent. One thing about him I always remember is the big smile in his face. When you see him, as soon as you mention his name, just give you a smile. Ishmael is a cool guy. Yeah. It's very, very painful to hear this. Well, it's hard, but what will you do? It has happened already. So we just have to take it like that. Let's see the way forward. Not at all. Not at all. Even if juveniles, just look at the acts, the crime that they committed. Even an adult. When you look way back in our days, 20 years is you dare not watch a corpse. And these kids were able to how do I even say it? They were able to commit this gruesome murder. This is unpardonable, honestly. They are not juveniles at all. And per the account of the father of, or maybe let's say the grandfather of him, the other guy, Nicholas, he was saying the guy was born around 2002 thereabout. So per the calculation, you can see he's even above 18 years. What we want is justice, nothing but justice. But looking at the recent happenings in this country, we only hope that the institutions will be on their feet. You know, the father doesn't live here. His father lives in Oti region, Kwanta. Okay. So he's been bothering the mother. He's been asking the mother, when would the father come here? So the mother was fed up and he has Ishmael himself to pick phone and then call. So he actually called his father to come and spend some few days with them. So the father, he kept postponing the days until these Easter holidays. So the son, Ishmael took phone and then called his father that they are on break. So these few days, he wants him to come and spend the days with them. So the father kept postponing. Even the day he promised to come, he couldn't come. Even honest that day, he was disappointed. So until the next day, the father arrived on Saturday, 6:30, early in the morning. But the Ishmael was still asleep. The mother woke him and he refused to wake up. So as soon as he heard his father's voice, then he woke up straight. So the father said, okay. He himself asked the father, he went to tell his mother that, no, my father is in. So, okay, you asked him to come, he has come, so what will you offer your father? So he went to his mother and said, okay, then I'll offer him tea. So do tea for my father. And the mother prepared it for them to all to drink. So after that, the father went to relax. And then the next thing happened. So she didn't believe it. She actually wanted to come and witness it, but we didn't allow her outside. Because when she witnessed it, I don't think we can handle her. So you could sense that Ishmael himself, the spirit wanted the father to come and then witness what will happen.
He's my grandmother's son. Very intelligent. He don't want any problem. He's just a free guy. The guys he was with, those who killed him, he was very free with them. I don't know the reason why they just have this kind of mind to just murder him without any reason or something. Even if you want to murder someone, it shouldn't be him. You people even eat at his house. Whatever you want, he give it to you. He have laptops and other things. You go there to play it with him. I don't know what kind of thing that came into their mind for them to do such thing. And this case, we don't want them to leave it. The only thing we want is that they should send it ahead. They shouldn't bring them out and say, oh, they've gone for 2 years or something. No. If possible, if not because they are saying they are kids, what kind of kids that will have this mental thing in their head, that this mentality, with the court issue that they are bringing, we don't want it. There is no court. It's either they should be sentenced to death as well, or they should be in life imprisonment. That's what we want. They should be in prison for life. We don't want them outside there, because if we see them, it won't be better for them.
One of his brother mentioned his name that he did it. Yeah. One of Anani's brother mentioned Anani's name that he did it. Oh, Ishmael is a humble boy. Even he played with my senior brother, one of my son called Godfred. Yeah. So he's a humble guy. He's a humble guy. And he's an intelligent boy because of, Ishmael around this area. Yeah. As for me, I was very angry that time. So what I can say is they should do something. Because if you see Anani and Daniko here again, something different will happen here. Yeah, that's what I can say, because of they are very wicked people. And if they leave them or give them some small years to go and come here again, that time I think say maybe any area happy. But if they go and come here again, it will make a difficulty here.
According to police, prior to the incident, the two accused persons have for some time been
All right, so that's Maxwell Agbagba's reports. Let me bring Mr. Kenashigbe. Mr. Kenashigbe, I saw your post. You said the blood of this 10-year-old is on the heads of all media houses that allow their platforms to be used by these juju persons. How so?
Well, thank you very much, Mohamed. This is really very sad. It hits at your very core, the very future of this country. You wonder what it is, where we're going. I have, had several occasions to, when you see some of the things that we've allowed our television stations to be allowed to do. People, some of them are basically criminality. How on earth are you able to double money? Where are you getting the money from? Nobody has the power to mint money in this country. So when these people come to sit on TV and they are doing all of these things, promising instant gratification, telling people that they could, instantly become rich without working and all of that. What is it that we're promoting? What is it that we're teaching people? And the times that we even show these things, these are times that children would have to be, will be watching television. So, we forget that the media forms, the minds of our people. And once we keep on doing these things, things like this are bound to happen. And it's really a very difficult time. And I can only imagine what the parents, will be going through at this time. So definitely, media houses, publishers, owners of media houses need to realize the fact that they owe a responsibility to themselves, to their country, in terms of the content that we show. And in as much as there's freedom of expression, and it's not only just even the Jews. We see some people who call themselves Christians. Some of the things that we show on TV, ethically, they are definitely not right. And with all of this formation, we would produce such monsters. And definitely they need to take responsibility for it. And I also don't buy it when the media commission just throws its hands in the air and says that there's really nothing that they can do. Even the naming and shaming. How many times have we seen the media commission, take an ad somewhere and say that these media houses have done these things and are not acceptable? We should not just sit and throw our hands in the air and see people commit actual, some of them actually bother on criminality, because once you say you're doubling money, it means you're taking the money from somewhere. All that money that you're doubling has serial numbers on it. Where did you get it from? Did you steal it from anybody, or did you mint it? And all of those are wrong. And we should not be sitting. But the most important thing is for these publishers, the owners of media houses, we need to take responsibility and realize that when we continue giving people poison, definitely things like this is what we're going to get. So it is really important for my colleagues, who manage media, to know that we can't keep on doing these things and not expect that we would get things like this coming up.
Bobby, would you link the killing to media content necessarily? We know that the police established this, first of all, because they indicated that the two men at the center of this had been watching Ghana television. When I say Ghana television, Ghanaian television, and they've been consuming a lot of these contents, spiritualists promising to double money and to make you rich quick.
Well, to every effect, there is a cause. It's just sad, like Mr. Shebe has said, that we have no option than to link these actions to some of the things that they see or they are enticed into. In some of the media reports, I read that the police are in their hands for the so-called spiritualists who demanded for the body parts of a child. And so definitely how they met this spiritualist, how they came into contact with this spiritualist, is something that will be investigated. If it was by TV, but you see, it's not only by television that these spiritualists advertise. When you drive on that Kasoa stretch, you see a lot of billboards and signposts by Malams advertising their craft and their work. I ask myself, do the municipal assemblies that are in charge of giving permits for these billboards or signposts, what do they do before they give the permits? And if they do not give the permits and they see them there, do they pull them down? Because you see in Accra, the AMA going around marking some signposts of corporate institutions and saying that they were put there without permit. But I have not seen any such billboard or signpost by a so-called spiritualist. And they will list all the things that they are able to do. And it's not only in Kasoa, right under Bema Camp, the overpass. Every week I see a new poster of a spiritualist, something Malam, Red Indian this. And you have the municipal assemblies that are supposed to oversee these advertisements, just overlooking them. But if it is a corporate institution that does that, then you see that they go after them. So it's not only what they see on TV, but the billboards and the signposts that are also around also encourages them to see these things. Because if you put the blame of on a parent, to what extent can the parent prevent the child from seeing a billboard that is advertising money rituals? Because if the parent does not even have a television at home, then you cannot link it to what the child sees. I'm not saying that watching the television is not the cause. I'm saying let's not limit the arguments to only what they see on TV. Because if you drive around Kasoa, if you drive from Accra to Kumasi, from Kumasi to Sunyani, you would see a lot of billboards and adverts, signposts by the so-called spiritualists. So we should not only limit it to, or the responsibility to only the media commission. The municipal and district assemblies that give the permits for these billboards and signposts to be littered across the country should also sit up and be running. And if these so-called spiritualists put them there, at least they put their telephone numbers there. They should trace them and then go after them so that we will know that these things are taken serious as a country. And then we are not saying that religious rights, the rights of traditionalists, we are not saying that. We are saying that if they advertise that they are able to double money, that is a crime. Because under our banking laws, it's only the Bank of Ghana that can print money. So we are not saying that do not practice your religion, but to the extent that your religion is bordering on criminality, then you are not allowed to exercise it or demonstrate it. And so if they advertise that get rich quick, double your money, the security agencies, with the assistance of the municipal or district assemblies, should be able to follow these things up and then pick them up.
Ms. Ashigbe, two things with you. I'll come to content approval, an issue that came up. Private media, as in Geba Forte strongly, Supreme Court ruled on this matter of content being approved by the NMC before it is shared with the audience. But some have also argued that, listen, armed robbery is not advertised, but people rob every day. So why are we making such a big deal with this media outlets providing the platform for some of these spiritualists? What do you make of this argument?
Well, but I think the point also has to be made that is what not saying exclusively that just what they see on TV, what they see on the billboards, what happens on social media, it's the only reason or it's the cause, when social scientists talk about cause, that direct cause. But you see, it has impact and they have effects. So yes, I hear you. Crime has been with us before media started, before even the gong gong started. But the fact that crime exists does not mean that you should tend to glorify it. You should tend to make it cool. You should openly, because in the past, when we were kids, we knew that there was Sikedro, but Sikedro was hidden. People who go and do it, they will hide and do it. But when you blatantly push it out in people's face, when, these things happen, and it's not only just the traditionalists who do it, we see some so-called pastors, also do it. So that's why I like Bobby's word when he says spiritualists. Across various religions, they do it. So yes, it's true that we've had crime since Adam. But what we are doing now is what we are then beginning to reap. When we have people as young as what we have seen, how do they get even access to these so-called spiritualists? It's a good question that was asked. Because these children are living somewhere in Kasoa and we're being told that, the spiritualist is somewhere else. What medium did they use to be able to get in touch with these people that they were able to teach these people? And you should also bear in mind that in part of the story was the whole issue about kidnapping first and all of that. So we need to definitely be mindful of the things that we feed to people. Because you and I, we are a product of the things that we see, the things that we hear. So we all owe it to ourselves. Yes, I hear that law that came, the content issues came up and it went to court. But I am saying that as we work to be able to get a broadcasting bill passed, and I pray that Parliament this time, that bill has stayed too long, as a bill, would pass it. There are still things that our regulators can do. And then also, as we even talk about regulation, there should also be the things of self-regulation. The media owners, the media practitioners, editors, who, the marketing people who collect money from these people should all look themselves in the face and say, this cannot be right. We cannot be feeding, our country with this thing and expecting that we're going to be able to get a different result. And now it has really come home to roost. And so we need to take responsibility for this. And I'm hoping that starting from yesterday, media houses are beginning to tell themselves that this is not right. Yes, armed robbery will be there, prostitution, various crimes, corruption, who, has been teaching our politicians corruption and all of that. But they still do it. But let's not glorify it. Let's not use mediums that have been put there to be able to educate, inform, and entertain, to be able to propagate this thing. And once the children can see that it is openly done, then it tells them that this is right. I can also go and do it. So it's really important that we all need to look at ourselves in the face. I am an advocate for the media, but I think in this particular case, we should not even wait for regulation to come externally. We should self-regulate. So Giba talks about, protecting the rights of media owners and all of that. This is one place that Giba needs to call its people to vote. GJA needs to call its members and say, if you're an editor, you're a producer in any of these media houses, let's look at what it is that we're giving to our people. Yes, let's allow the traditional people to come and preach their messages. They should come and preach their messages, but their messages should not bother on criminality. We should not glorify things that are wrong. Hard work is one of the principles of us as Ghanaians. The hard work should pay. But when you now come in and all you want to do is, just come and give me this, and then you instantly become rich. What we are killing is that whole spirit of entrepreneurship, hard work that we put in, working smart to be able to earn your living, and saying to people that Sakawa, and saying to people that, you just can bring some money, I'll double it for you. All of these things are not right. It's killing the moral fiber of our country, and these are the things that we reap. A parent, a mother, a father who would not be crying because a 10-year-old has been plunged to death.
So, Bobby, we're preaching self-regulation. People are calling for tighter regulation. And also bearing in mind the fact that media organizations don't necessarily want their content to be approved before it is aired. That's a form of censorship. What would be most effective? Because some people don't believe that self-regulation will be effective here.
Well, we have regulators. That is why the Constitution established the National Media Commission. They have the constitutional authority to do that. We see that in the movie industries, before your movie goes out there, there's some form of censorship. And some time passed when some movies were published and were shown, as they were sold, they had issues with the regulators in that sector. I think that this is an opportunity for us to have a national discourse about things like this. Like I said, the argument would always be that there's freedom of expression and what have you. But we should draw the line. Every country has values. That is why even in the Constitution, it set out that we, the people of Ghana, in the name of the Almighty, it set out a preamble that shows the value that as a society we aspire to achieve. And so if there's any person who thinks that his freedom of expression should override the value that as a collective people, irrespective of your religious background, irrespective of your economic situation in life, irrespective of your preferences, we should all aspire to, then it means that that person should not be made part of our society. It's as simple as that. And so I believe that the regulators must set up. The laws are already there. It's just for fear of people saying that, listen, you are being too strict and the economic effect and everything. The regulators are not really cracking the whip. But how many kids would have to die because of things like this? How many people would have to lose their lives? And we've read stories of, this is making the news because there are children, for lack of a better word, that are involved. But we've had situations where it's been reported adults also doing things like this. And they go under the radar because we think that they are adults. But our society is influenced a lot by these things. And I know I'm going to sound quite controversial, but if you look at even the kind of songs that are played now, where it's, you'd have lyrics that suggest that, you'd have to get rich. It's about money, it's about drink, it's about so and so and so. And then you have these young ones listening and aspiring to be like these what we call superstars. And the term that has become quite popular, slay queens, as we have them. And so a lot of things influence some of the things that these people under 18 years, let me put it that way, because if you look at the Juvenile Justice Act and all the laws, to all intents and purposes, it is presumed that people who are under 18 years may be easily influenced by what they see around them compared to people who are above 18 years. And so the kind of factors, the kind of things we expose the society, these under 18 years to, we are sowing these seeds that will find expression in various forms. And this, unfortunately, is an example of such an expression. And so we should have a national dialogue and determine what we want to portray our society to be. And like I said, this is not a religious something. It's not a battle of gagging the media or preventing people from demonstrating what they think or their rights. We, as a country, in our constitution, we have values. And it's time that we sit up and make sure that everything that we expose people in our community to aligns with the values that the constitution says that as a nation we have.
Mr. Ashigbe, did Giba perhaps made a mistake in fighting strongly the issue of content approval?
Well, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure that Giba was wrong. I think that the content approval was also an overreach. What I would have thought that would have happened rather would have been a lot more engagement at the point when the bill was being put together, so that we could have achieved what we wanted to achieve without necessarily asking somebody to approve and really getting into the place of real censorship. So I think there's some part of that law itself that is problematic, that needs to be dealt with. But as we talk about all of this as well, we need to bear in mind some of the things that happen is pure crime. When somebody says he's doubling money, where is the person getting that money? So that particular activity is a criminal one. So whether you do it in the name of spirituality, or I can really bring a technology. I come to multi-TV and say, now I have a technology that can, produce money, and I'm not even adding, any religion to it. That is also very criminal. So we should be attacking the crime that these people are perpetrating, even in the absence of a content approval. And I'm not too sure it's content approval that we really need to be able to resolve this. But there should be some things and there's the ethics of the trade that we should be using. So as we don't even have, if the NMC says to us that they don't have the room to close down stations, I am saying that, but there are ways in which even naming and shaming, we've not seen that happen. Giba as well as an institution. So start naming and shaming some of these organizations that are doing it. All of you, all of us in the media should be looking ourselves in the face and say, this is not right. And it's in the interest of the media to ensure that we do not have external regulation. The Media Commission has had its posture, and the posture has been the fact, and you see that the Media Commission was birthed from this, the culture of silence. So we really wanted the freedoms. And so the Media Commission tries to push that. And we should not let us get to the realm where it is somebody determining what is right and wrong for us. We ourselves should be guided by our own ethics, should be guided by some principles, be guided by the laws of this country that says that these are not right, these are wrong. We should be guided by the values. The output of the things that we're doing should begin to tell us that these are not right, these are wrong, And it's for me is the reason why we should also be looking at the whole model of media business that we have, where now we have a proliferation of several channels, to the extent that anybody can sit and then get a channel and then they scream out anything. There should be some boundaries to doing this thing work, so that there's a business model that is surrounding, and then people are held responsible for what it is that they are putting out. It is so important that we speak to ourselves as media professionals, as owners of media. Unfortunately, some of these media owners themselves, they are not professionals, so they are just in it for the money. Some of them just have it and they're using it for anything. Things that we see that are done in the name of Christianity. You look at that and you wonder where this is coming from. And it's not only that it's Christianity, but abhors, which you say is religious freedom. And some of them actually, they go against our laws. So it's really important, and I would speak more to self-regulation. That and all of the media themselves, we should start calling ourselves out. People who are doing wrong, we should call them out and say, this is wrong. And this has to stop.
But are you also minded that some of these people we're talking about themselves also own some of the channels?
Yes, and that's the problem. And you see, the problem is the fact that, the people and our craft itself, it's a vocation. So, you really do not say that somebody should have gone to, some school to qualify for it, but we should be requiring some, there should be some minimum standard. And even if we cannot use the minimum standard, then let's take their output. Once the person is doing anything that is illegal, that borders on breaking our law, then we should be able to use that to be and some of that we don't need to blame just the media commission, but the police see some of these things happen, and they are the person supposed to enforce the law, and they know that as Bobby said, these people do not have, they don't have the power of the central bank to be printing money or to be minting coins. And so how come they are telling us that they can double money? Are they able to do it? Are they stealing it from somebody? What if it's stealing? That's also a crime. Why are we not holding these people responsible? When we have pastors who are stepping on the stomachs of people on TV, when we have pastors that bring children in and, show them that, and all of these things, we've signed onto conventions of protection of children that, upon these things, and we allow them to happen, and we've given these people channels, and they just use it to do what it is that they want. We can have media owners themselves to come and sit on media and actually steal invectives, insult people, speak the unprintable, when we all know that these things, by the virtue of the ethics of our trade, should not be happening. I would have even thought that people like the GJ and all of that will be able to call their members who allow their who work on these stations to let these things happen, call them to vote. And that's the reason why I would still be championing on self-regulation, on group regulation, the groups themselves, the associations themselves, calling themselves out and say that these things cannot be happening. Because when we do that, these are the things, these are the results that we can get. So I would still insist for all of us who sit and allow this to happen, that the blood of those young 10-year-olds is on our heads. And I hope that it speaks to us when we see that what these things that we're doing in the name of just getting money, in the name of audiences, we need to put a stop to it. And I hope that our leaders, the authorities themselves, will start bringing people who are breaking our laws. It is the enforcement of the laws in this country. That is the bane of our country. It's not as if we don't have the laws. The laws exist, but we just do not want to enforce them. That is our problem.
Okay. Just finally, Bobby, if you listen to neighbors and family members, they're calling for justice. This is an 18-year-old, 16-year-old, at least the two persons accused of this crime. What should we typically expect, and what is that justice that they're calling for? What's your understanding of it?
Well, I heard some of them saying that they should be sentenced to life imprisonment if they are allowed back into the society. I have bad news for them. The Juvenile Justice Act, which we passed, as long as these children it's proven that they're actually 18 or below, then there will be a problem because the law does not subject them to the same rigors of criminal punishment like adults. And so, for instance, they cannot be sentenced to prison. They'll be put in a correctional facility, what we used to call Bostal Institutes. And the most important element of that law is the fact that it's a requirement that there will be a social inquiry report where people of the social welfare department must go and investigate what motivated these young ones to undertake such heinous crimes, and then be able to give the court a report to show what must be done to correct them as they are growing up, because they are still children. If indeed the ages are 16 and below 18, and the court has the right to investigate their ages, but I'm talking on the assumption that the ages are what the police have stated. Now, if indeed those are the ages, then what will mean is that there would be an institution, the process where they would be put through a juvenile court, not the normal court system. If they are found guilty of having committed the offense, instead of being sent to prison, they'll be put in a correctional facility. And the maximum period is 3 years. And so they cannot stay in a correctional facility for more than 3 years. And worst of all, at the end of that 3 years, the parent or any person who has some level of control over these children, or they themselves, can even apply for their records to be expunged, this criminal record to be expunged. And so our laws do not intend that they will receive some form of punishment as would have been done to an adult. The intent of the law is to make sure that they are given an opportunity to reform and then be better people when they grow up, so that they can contribute their quota to the society. So there will not be the justice, as we call it, and sentence them to life imprisonment or to kill them, as it is. But then there will be the intent to reform them, so they'll be better citizens. It's too bad, because the family that has lost the child will not have, there will be no form of compensation for them. But it has happened. And unfortunately, it may be a basis for either a change in regulations or a change in attitude of the people. So that would be the only form of compensation these people would have. I must add that the law actually states it's against any attempt to publish the names or details of the alleged offenders in such a way that they can be identified. And so that's also a warning to media houses, that in as much as their names have been put in the charge sheet, we should be careful when we are trying to make the public easily identify them, because if at the end of the period, their record is expunged, but you've already exposed them to public, then it will mean that they will be stigmatized forever, and that is what the law does not intend.
Okay, but hold on there, Bobby, because yesterday in court, the presiding judge disclosed something when it was realized that one of them, Nicholas is his name, was 18. The judge decided to hear the case in an open court, and she said once the entire process was over, the other person, Felix, could be taken through the juvenile justice system. She indicated that the actual case would not be tried at the district court, but rather the high court, due to the gravity of the offense. Does that change anything from what you stated to us?
Yes, since the age of one of them is 18 and above, then the judge has a right to deal with the matter together. So they'll try together, because I'm sure there'll be the charge of conspiracy and then the actual action. But when it comes to sentencing, then the one who is younger will be sentenced differently, or would be the sentence will be meted out according to the provisions of the Juvenile Justice Act. And then the one who is 18 years and above will receive the full sentence as required by law, which could be life imprisonment or sentence to death. But the one who is below 18 at the time of the offense, when it comes to sentence, even though the trial will be done in public and what have you, because there are two persons involved, and the same evidence will be abused. When it comes to sentencing, the one who is under 18 would be sent to the juvenile court, and then the sentencing will be as provided by the Juvenile Justice Act, which the worst will be being in the correctional facility for a period of 3 years maximum.
Yeah, but this could be a long way, as we know.
Yes.
Investigations and then prosecution. Just finally with you, Mr. Ashibe. So how do we proceed? Because now the blame game has started. Should we still be blaming?
Well, I'm not too sure this blame game. I think it's for us, the media, to look ourselves in the mirror and say what it is that we've been doing so far has not been right. These things are not the way to go, where we allow our media houses to be used to do things, to show things like this, which are really unethical, which are very criminal. And I would call on the professional bodies that are involved, so from GJA, from the GIBA, even, the marketers, CIG, for example, your members who, these people who come on commercial radio stations where they are not owned. It is your members. They go and canvass these people to come and do these things on air. We all need to bring that pressure to bear on ourselves to say we need to do right. And then also, I think that between the NMC, the NCA, we need to look at this digitization that is coming, the proliferation of media houses, and allowing just anybody, just to have access to channels and then be able to just put anything out. Once they are doing things that are criminal. We should make sure that together with the police, we bring people to book. And let's all look at ourselves and then make sure that we can produce the right content to be able to ensure that we can produce the right society. But we know that people would generally not do things on their own. They would, they would choose the path of least resistance. So we definitely need to find ways to police our society. And I agree with Bobby that it is time for us to have a big conversation, amongst ourselves to say, what is this that we need to do? And I think that the broadcasting bill needs to be considered. It would also bring some checks and balances. And when we do so, definitely there should be a balance within just going to give power into the hands of particular people to want to regulate. That, we should define the boundaries at which we can operate and ensure that we all, make sure that when that happens, we deal with that. But it's really important. And I call on all of us in the media again, let's look ourselves in the face and say, this is not the way to go. We need some self-regulation. We know what is right. Let's not put money at the forefront of all that we do and sacrifice our future. These are children. Look at what it is that they have done. This is really not heard of in this country. And once our future, the children, have been polluted this way, then you wonder what kind of wealth we're going to be living for us. So for all of you who are sitting on air, radio, TV, social media, and all of that, we owe it to ourselves to be able to do right. Thank God the cybersecurity law has come. So for those of you even who sit that you think you can be on social media and be doing money doubling and all those wrong things, once you commit the crime using the cyberspace, the Minister for Communication is now the Minister of Communication and Digitalization as well. And she has agencies that will come after you. And we should all work together with these regulators to ensure that the right thing is done.
I thank you very much for your time, Ken Ashigbe, for having this conversation with us. Also, Bobby Banson, he is a lawyer. He also joined us. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Mr. Ken Ashigbe, former Managing Director, Multi-TV, former Managing Director, Graphic Communications Group, and now CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Bobby, thank you so much, as always. We're going to activate the phone lines for you to join us with your thoughts on this subject. And then also this issue, yesterday the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, said that we will not slip into doom. So how do you describe what you're experiencing today? Let's talk some energy and let's talk about this matter that's on our hearts this morning. Stay with us. You're still watching the AM show. When we come back, you can give us a call on 0302 211 69 102.